Today I'm going to tell you the story about the youngest soldier in World War II, called Soldier Boy. There are spoilers ahead, so hold on tight and enjoy the ride. The movie begins in Russia, where a family of three sit by the river enjoying their time. The youngest of them, Sergei Alyoshkov, boasts to his brother and his mother about him being on top of the tree, when suddenly a German fighter jet flies overhead. The mother asks her kid to quickly hide in the bushes, but the 6-year-old claims he isn't scared and shoots the jet with a slingshot. To everyone's surprise, he manages to hit it, causing it to explode. But when he looks around, his family is gone. Sergei wakes up frightened from the dream and calls for his mother. But then, someone knocks at the door. Assuming it is his mother, he runs towards it, but a neighbour comes in panicking. She informs Sergei that unfortunately his mother and brother have been killed. The little boy cannot comprehend what she is saying and wants to stay in the house to wait for his family to return. The woman tells him that the Germans have attacked them and that he should make his escape. Just then, some soldiers approach their house. The woman makes Sergei run out through the window, but is shot dead on the spot. The young lad is now on his own, with no family or friends. As Sergei runs away from the house, he sees a whole neighborhood burning behind him. He calls for his mother in vain before running away. After running for a while, he ends up in the middle of the woods. He begins to call out for his mother as he is lost. He has no choice but to stay the night in the forest. The following morning, we see him drink water from a river when the enemy soldiers make their way in his direction. Knowing that they are dangerous, Sergei quickly hides in the tree's roots. He is startled when a snake comes near but doesn't make a sound. Sergei knows that the soldiers would do much more harm than the snake, unless the snake happened to be packing an MP40, which it's not. The soldiers eat by the river before leaving, after which Sergei helps himself to the leftover food, which he needs badly due to not having eaten for a long time. However, by the end of the day, the little boy is exhausted. He hasn't had a proper meal in 2 days and has been walking aimlessly with nowhere to go. He falls down as he limps, but keeps on walking. While on his way, he spots wild berries and eats them. But just then, there is an explosion behind him, taking him by surprise. Sergei is disorientated and dizzy. He begins to hallucinate someone coming behind him. However, although scared, he stands his ground and tells the person he has a rifle. He limps forward but suddenly falls unconscious due to exhaustion. While he is asleep, 2 soldiers approach him. The scene cuts to a Russian army base where Commander Kuznetsov waits for his patrol of soldiers. They come in with the little boy, who is weak and injured. When the soldiers tell Sergei that they are on his side, he opens up and introduces himself. The soldiers laugh when the boy shakes hands with the commander, suggesting he introduce himself too. The soldiers take a liking to Sergei and offer him food and water, which he was desperate for. Even the otherwise cold commander takes care of him. A nurse named Katya dresses Sergei's wounds, while she too is charmed by his personality. He asks her to draw a tank on his wounds because he wants to be a soldier when he grows up. He even manages to cheer up the injured soldiers. Sergei is fascinated with the commander's gun. The commander answers all the little boy's questions and lets him play with his pistol after taking the bullets out. Sergei shows him the tank drawn on his stomach and boasts about being a soldier himself. His wounds have begun to heal quickly. The nurse Katya asks the commander to let the boy stay with the battalion, but he disagrees, claiming that it won't be safe. He wants to send Sergei to an orphanage instead. The soldiers spent all of their free time with Sergei. He was visited by many throughout the day. They bring him food sent by their families from afar, and even let him play with their binoculars. One day, a soldier goes to the commander to ask him to let the boy stay with the battalion. The soldiers have grown close to him and think of him as one of their own now. His presence takes the weight of war off their chest. The commander, however, is adamant about sending the boy to the orphanage for his own safety. The following day, the enemies attack and many soldiers are wounded. A vehicle comes to collect Sergei to take him to the orphanage. The commander breaks the news to him and gives him a wooden honorary pistol as a gift. The boy gives him a big hug in return, claiming that he is scared for the commander's safety. The commander melts in his embrace and decides to change his mind. He asks Sergei to stay with the soldiers, as they see him as his son. That night, the soldiers look for clothing to fit the small soldier. While over the moon that he is staying with, Commander wakes Sergei up and hands him his uniform. He wears his uniform with pride as he is finally looking like a real soldier. The others start calling him their little soldier boy. As the kid runs around, the Germans launch an air attack at the battalion. The soldiers quickly take Sergei to safety and begin fighting back. The number of injured soldiers grows rapidly. Sergei puts himself to work by bringing water to the thirsty soldiers. One of them asks him to read a letter sent by his family because he has a bandage over his eyes. The little boy refuses and tells him to piss off. I'm kidding, that'd be wild. Instead, he offers to help but doesn't actually know how to read, so instead makes up a story claiming that the soldier's cow is safe back home. When the soldier replies saying he doesn't have a cow, the others tell him to just go along with the story and laugh. He reads everyone else's letters in the same fashion and cheers them all up. In the following scene, we see Katya and the commander talking. The two are clearly attracted to each other, but do not confess their feelings. Later, Sergei tells the commander that he is the orderly position in the battalion and starts to introduce himself as one. However, the boy then sees one of the soldiers' stations destroyed by the attack. The commander teaches him to take off of his hat to pay his respects to the dead soldier. The next day, he asks the commander to give him a mission and is given the task of distributing the letters among the soldiers. He completes his task efficiently and even gets the soldiers to dance for him. The following day, Sergei wanders a little too far from the base with his binoculars. As he is playing with them, he spots someone's leg moving from inside the haystack. So he rushes back to base and tells the soldiers just what he saw. The soldiers are skeptical but go with him anyway. When they approach the haystack, they discover two German spies hiding underneath. The spies are arrested and the kid is praised for his discovery. That night, the commander shows Sergei the legal papers for his adoption. He is now officially his father. Sergei knows of the commander's feelings for Katya, so, to repay his kindness, he takes him to confess to her. But the two see her talking to a different man and wrongfully assume that she is interested in somebody else. The base is then attacked once again by the Germans. Yet again, Sergei jumps into action by running ammunition to the soldiers on the front line. But the soldiers there command him to go back and take cover because it is just too dangerous outside. When he arrives back at the shed, he sees the commander and others panicking because the phone's connection with the colonel has been lost. A soldier is sent to repair the cables. Sergei follows him, but discovers that he has been fatally wounded. He asks the dying soldier for guidance on how to fix the wires before carrying out the repair himself. The connection is restored and more troops are called for backup. Even though he was only a kid, he proved himself as a real soldier by saving many lives that day. Later on, we see the commander and Katya talking by the river. The commander finally confesses his love for her and asks her to be Sergei's mother. Katya is delighted upon hearing this, but before she can say anything, a soldier approaches them and gives the commander a letter, saying they have been dispatched from the base. The following day, all the soldiers leave for their new base along with Sergei. However, on their way, they come across a minefield that blows up some of their vehicles. The commander is hurt, while the group's orderly sergeant, who Sergei was very close with, is killed in the explosion. He cries and hugs the commander. They carry the injured ones with them and carry on their journey to their new base. When they finally reach the base, they meet the commander's leader, the general. He too is impressed by the kid's ambition and congratulates the commander for having such a smart boy. The following day, their division is awarded a Guards banner along with Sergei. He promises to save his country when the general gives him his bat. One night, their base comes under a heavy attack, trapping the commander under the ruins. Sergei cries for his father and tries to save him. He calls the other soldiers, who finally manage to free the commander. The next day, Sergei approaches the wounded commander. His hands were damaged trying to save him. The kid is now an inseparable part of the team. He stays by their sides and accompanies the battalion wherever they go during the war. The movie ends as the regiment is seen moving yet to another base. A voice in the background narrates that he even took part in the Battle of Stalingrad and reached Poland with the soldiers. He is currently known as the world's youngest soldier ever and the legendary story of his bravery has been told worldwide. What a little hero. Subscribe for more videos if you like this. You don't have to, but you should. But you don't have to, but you definitely probably should. Maybe? Definitely. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.